Perfect. Well, let me just start by saying, was there anybody not energized but what Coach said at the press conference? Okay, perfect. That's exactly what I was hoping.
Yeah, put us in, we're ready to go.
You ready? Yep,
Yeah.
yep. What's the vertical leap? Just, yeah. We start talking 45-inch vertical leap. Listen, we're excited. Obviously, this is a new beginning for us, so we're excited about hearing our coach talk about banners and the rafters and what he plans to do as our new head coach, and lots of energy, lots of excitement, and we just think that this is a moment that we're looking for everyone who is a Cal alum, a Cal fan, a Cal supporter to come together and really support our new coach, support our program, our young men, and I think this is the coach that is going to bring us to the promised land. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mark, and then certainly ready for your questions.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, and I'll just reiterate kind of what I said down there. You know, as the conversations went on with Jim Knowlton about this program and where the program has been, which I was pretty familiar with, and the vision for the future, the excitement level, I got so excited. I am so fired up here today, ready to dive in and work. I've been working since the announcement. Been working in the portal, been speaking a lot to our current players already in the program, and just a feeling of excitement and a feeling of we can do this thing. It needs to be a partnership. We're going to call on everybody, the students, the fans, the donors, administration, but we're going to do it together. We're going to do it together, and there are great things ahead.
Questions? Larry.
I got kind of Larry Beal from Channel 7 in San Francisco. 2 parts. First part, when you laid out the clothes today and you saw the blue and gold, what went through your mind at that point? Because those are probably colors that you have not worn a lot.
Well, I would say this. It's I love my alma mater. I love where I went to school. I love every experience that I had. But my excitement is for Cal. My excitement is for building this into a championship program. My excitement level is the tradition of the past. We can get there, and we can do it, and it's not going to take as long as everyone thinks.
I was talking to an agent friend of mine who said there are about 1,700 kids in the transfer portal, which is a mind-boggling number to even ponder. How do you begin to navigate that when not only do you have to recruit your guys, you have to recruit their guys, then re-recruit your guys, then re-recruit your guys, and well, Yeah.
I would say this, it's all about personal relationships. There's absolutely 1,700 guys in the portal. Of those 1,700, how many are good enough to play at Cal? And so through personal relationships and through really to go back, 1 year, 2 year, decades, there's a level of trust. There's a level of trust with players, with AAU coaches, with agents, and we as a staff are a staff that have, and we'll announce more on the staff later. We have great relationship and great trust level to help us navigate that.
Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff Ferrato. Mark, can you talk about conversations you've had with Jim and others in the administration about kind of specifics on NIL and what you guys are going to have at your disposal and how that's going to work?
Yeah. First of all, good to see you again, Jeff. long time. It's good to reconnect. On the NIL piece, in terms of specifics, I would just say this. There are so many great things happening around NIL here at Cal. There's a tremendous amount of people. Jim has a vision for this university. The NIL boards have a vision for this university. The truth of the matter is, if you are not in name, image, and likeness, it's going to be very difficult for you to compete at a high level. That's the reality. That's the reality. In being in basketball every day, that's the reality. And so when I saw how on board Jim is for name, image, and likeness, but done the right way, it's incredibly exciting.
And do you expect it to be amped up from where it's been? Any guarantees, any commitments from them on what it will be going forward?
Yeah, I think it's more about the process. When you think about the process of the excitement around the donor base for NIL, we've seen some incredibly exciting things happen. And Jim will have more to announce on that as time passes. But you're going to see, I believe that Cal is going to be one of the national leaders in NIL, including, what was said earlier in the sense that it is never pay to play. NIL is not pay to play. It's name, image, and likeness. But what I like about Cal is these individuals that are running the collective, they're talking about community service. They're talking about giving back to the community, and that is one of the most exciting things.
Mark.
Mark over here. By the way, the weather down here is great. Anyway, hey, this is one of my go-tos. Okay, let's say I'm a 5-star guard. I got handles. Okay, I got Coach Haas calling me in like 20 minutes, but I'm taking your call first.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about coming to Cal.
Yeah.
When somebody says, well, that's a Mark Madsen coach team, what does that mean?
Yeah, what that means is a few different things. First of all, we are going to have a family environment here as a team. We're going to have a family environment. The student athlete experience is incredibly important to Cal, and it is incredibly important to me. I believe that if players are happy, if they feel welcomed, if they feel joy when they go on the court, they're going to be a much better version of themselves. Style of play. I want to play up tempo. There's going to be a lot of structure, but there's also going to be a lot of freedom. There's a saying in the NBA. In the NBA, some coaches have sets, some coaches have more of a free-flowing offense, but one thing you hear a lot, especially towards young players in the NBA, is don't be a robot. Don't be a robot. And so I want our players to know the offense, of course, but to be able to use their talents and abilities when they see an opening. Kevin McHale had a great line. He drew up a play one time when I was playing for him in Minnesota, and I think it was Latrell Sprewell broke off the play and got a layup. And so the next day in film or either at halftime, Kevin McHale said, guys, at any time, if you can take candy from a baby, you do it and you go get the layup. And so those are some of the ideas, some of the principles that we've really been preaching in our coaching career.
So I'm running your offense. What are you demanding of me when I go out there to make plays?
Unselfishness. I'm demanding unselfishness. We want guys to shoot the best shots. Shoot the best shots. Some of the worst shots are the contested off the dribble fadeaway shots. And of course, we see the pros do it, but even the pros don't always make the contested off the bounce fadeaway. So good, better, best. Make your teammate better. Care more about the man next to you than about your own stats.
Yeah.
Cam Inman, Bay Area user. Mark, when you say it's not going to take as long as everybody thinks, why and how?
Well, that comes back to the idea of vision. The vision that Jim has, the vision that I have, the timelines that we've discussed. The transfer portal is a great thing when it's all said and done, because what it allows players flexibility to move. If they're not happy, they can move. And by the same token, as was said, with 1,700 players in the portal, there's a lot of players that are looking for a home. And so if you can bring in 3 or 4 key pieces, there's several really good players, really talented players. There's a group of really talented players already in the program. So now you add 3 or 4 key players from the portal, you add some players that are already in the program from an existing standpoint, and then you bring in a couple of young guys, and you make some tweaks, good things can happen quickly.
Hi, Coach Chris Allen from ABC7. Congratulations, welcome back to the Bay.
Thank
Who were your biggest, when you're learning to coach, who do you kind of take your game after, your coaching style after? Is there anybody in particular, obviously you've been coached by some of the greats, anybody stand out in your mind that you kind of took a little bit from?
Yeah, it's a combination of a lot of different coaches. I feel very fortunate to have played for some really, not only great coaches, but great people. A conversation with Phil Jackson last week is fresh on the mind, because Phil is someone who cares deeply about basketball, but he cares deeply about people. He and I talked about the Cal job, and he gave me some advice. You know, he talked about some things that were important, but then he talked about how he was doing personally. He asked about how I was doing personally. I think sometimes that's lost, not only in sports, but just in life. You know, there's a human side to this game. And that's where I think Phil was extremely unique. He brought in this human, he brought in the spiritual side. We did meditations as a team in the locker room. You know, eyes closed, tongue on the roof of the mouth. I remember it like it was yesterday. And the room would get quiet, and you would be there in the room together. And he used to call, he used to say, we are conspiring together through breath. You know, and it was kind of an Eastern approach to, basketball is not just putting the ball in the basket. It's not just X's and O's. It's about people. You know, Phil was a master of that.
Yeah, Jake Curtis, Channel Sports Report. How do you think up-tempo style will affect recruiting in terms of transfer portal and high school kids?
Good to see you again too, Jake. Very few players want to play slow. Very few players want to play slow. You know, even as you look at the recruiting board, as you look at the available players, I don't want to recruit slow players. You're going to need some big guys. I don't want slow big guys. Because if you have a slow big guy, it kills your transition defense. It kills your defense. And also, conversely, if you have a fast big guy, it opens up layups and wide open threes in the corner. And so, speed, decision making, tempo are things that I'm excited to recruit and things I'm excited to implement.
Josh?
Josh Dubois, Associated Press. Mark, you coached a while in the pros with Lakers and D-League stuff. What brought you back to college, and when you came back and took the job at Utah Valley, was getting to this level? Was that, did you have a set of goals that, hey, I want to get to Power 5 level? What brought you back to the college?
Yeah, I think, first of all, I think the NBA is I love the NBA. I love the players in the NBA. In the NBA, you might be coaching someone that's 35 years old, where you can definitely have an impact from a basketball perspective, but it's exciting for me this idea of mentorship, because I've been fortunate to have so many amazing mentors. I mentioned even at the high school level, I mentioned John Rayner, my high school coach. I mentioned Jim Behrens, and it's I was a young guy. I was a sophomore in high school. I was trying to find my way, and here's Jim Behrens, who played under Pete Newell, who just was kind of the every staff has the one guy that just has a soft touch and a really nice personality that kind of can help bring a young guy along. And really the same thing in college. These kids go through a lot of great things, and they also have challenges. Just in the 4 years at Utah Valley, there were times when players would come into my office and share really personal challenges, not related to basketball. And that's where the student athlete experience comes in, because, sometimes they need someone to step up and help them navigate a difficult situation, because we all have difficult situations. And that's something I'm most excited about in terms of being in the college game.
Steve?
Yeah, Steve Drummond from the San Francisco Chronicle. Mark, congrats. I'll ask the mundane question. Didn't get the name of your newborn.
Yeah.
What's
Her name is Anastasia Ruth Madsen.
Anastasia, the typical spelling?
One N and one N.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's blue and gold here today, and I understand how you can be proud of your past and look to the future. Your future, say January or February of next year, you're going to take the Cal Bears to Maples Pavilion.
Yeah.
What's that going to be like?
No, I absolutely understand the question, and I would say this: it's, of course, probably the night before, I'm going to have some emotions. Going back to a place where I spent time, but the season, the number of games for us next year. Hopefully, we're playing 38 games, and so that's 2 games out of 38. And anybody that as you guys get to know me, you'll see that when I dive into something, I give full commitment, absolute full commitment, full excitement. And guys, I'm incredibly excited about this opportunity here, for a lot of reasons. Just I see the potential. It's exciting for me, to when it's all said and done, I grew up with a lot of Cal grads as my high school teachers. Some of my high school teammates went to Cal. You know, a guy like Tucker Calloway, who I played with in high school. He came to Cal, he loved it. You know, I've stayed in touch with him and his family over the years. And so it's really fun and exciting for me to be here.
Michael Duke, a Bear Insider. Coach, who on the current roster are you excited to coach from a developmental point of view?
Yeah, I'm excited about a lot of players on the current roster. And I met with the team before we had the conference downstairs on the court. And it was a great meeting. Look, some of the guys are in the portal, you know, and so my job, and I told them, I said, hey, workouts are gonna start either Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on, I'm gonna call my wife later today to see how she's doing. But I also wanna meet with every player individually. And every player's pathway is different, you know, and I just wanna meet with every single player, see exactly what their goals and aspirations are, and tell them what I see in their game. I've studied a lot of film on each player. I've watched some of your games live, just from the past season. You know, as a coach, you spend a lot of time in hotel rooms, so you always try to pick games you want to watch. And so just excitement about a lot of different players on the roster, both on the court and off.
Yes, sir. Ryan Young, Golden Bear Report. Mark, what's your across-the-board assessment of the state of the program as you take it over, and how did you go about evaluating what you were walking into?
Yeah, you know, the first thing I looked at is obviously the record was a tough record last year. Okay, and you look at all the games, you look at the scores. Not every game was a blowout. You know, and so number one, there's upside right there. Number two, were there a couple of injuries? Yes. You know, so now you get some guys healthy, tweak a few things in game, and now, you know, that's more wins. And then on top of it, yes, absolutely, you need to bring in a few key pieces out of the transfer portal. And so you really look at the combination of all of those different things. And I'm telling you, this thing can turn around very, very quickly, and it will.
Second one there.
Hi, Don Shannon, Rockford, California. Throughout this process, we've heard a lot about the institutional challenges. Is there anything specifically, whether it's admission standards, whether it's practice facility that is, larger in your mind than others, and that you're going to continue working with the administration of that department with?
That's a great point. You know, I think this idea of institutional challenges is a narrative that has been out there. It's a narrative that has been discussed publicly. But I think the narrative that has not been discussed enough publicly is the great opportunity of this program, or the great resources that this program already has. You know, in talking to Jim, he addressed, you know, some of the issues, but as he and I have talked, he's willing and he's already stepped up to provide every resource necessary. You know, am I a guy that says, you know, we need X, Y, and Z immediately? No, that's not my personality, because I believe that with hard work, a lot of these things can be taken care of themselves by diving straight into it.
Jeff? Be next.
Mark, besides what you already mentioned, just tell us what your message to your new players was when you met with them earlier.
You know, the message this morning was really a message of, hey, we're going to create a family environment. You know, and that's something that by itself, the teams where I've had that family environment, let me give you some examples. When I got to Minnesota, Flip Saunders invited me to the house multiple times for get-togethers. You know, that's a meaningful relationship to me. You know, family environment, I told the guys, we're gonna win. But, you know, every player needs to be the best version of themselves. It has to be willing to put in the work to win. And so we talked about that. We had some laughs, we had some jokes, and then we went around and everybody said a few words about themselves. Because, you know, you're always in an ongoing process of getting to know one another in any team setting. It doesn't matter if you've been on a team with someone for 5 years. You're always still in a process of getting to know someone better.
Are you open to having any or all of them back?
I'm absolutely open to every discussion with every player. Obviously, some players are graduating, Some players are in the portal. And so that's why the first step for me is going to be sitting with every player individually, assessing their graduation track, assessing if a player's in the portal, what are they looking for, and then having honest conversations about roles. And so that's an ongoing discussion. And I'll have more on that. Like if you ask me that question in 4 weeks, I'll have much more information.
Aaron Wilson with Ron 4. Obviously, you've had a lot of success in this game on just about every level of basketball. Some undesirable results with the Cal Bears last season, and you're homegrown here. Is there any pressure on you personally to be the guy that restores this program? Or do you feel like most athletes, we take a game a day? Is there pressure there?
I think in any competitive situation, there's absolutely pressure. And I wouldn't want it any other way. We just played in the NIT Final Four, and we played against a great team. We lost in overtime. There was pressure on the players, on both sides. There was pressure on the coaches. I tend to focus more on the opportunity side of it and the excitement side of it, because what I've found from my personal life, especially in terms of competition, if I try to control every single thing I can control, work ethic, preparation, personal relationships, if I give it my all, the results follow. And so there's absolutely a competitive pressure, and I'm excited to embrace it.
It's time for one or two more questions. Chris?
Coach, you have a new Cal jersey, but you also have a really cool new toddler jersey. What was that moment like for you? Was that a surprise? And what does that kind of talk? You're talking about family, so what did that moment mean to you?
Well, it meant a lot. I live for my kids. And it's just to see that my family has been embraced here at Cal already is an exciting thought for me. And I felt that from Jim from day one. When I met with the players, I shared some basketball things, and I shared some personal family things also. Because in a team, you get to know each other so intimately well. I'll be spending more time with our Cal players during some times of the year than I will with my own kids and my own wife. And so you get to know each other, you build deep bonds. To this day, I can pick up the phone and call old teammates from high school, college, or the NBA, and they're picking up because we spent that time together.
Mark, Dave Nuts.
Dave, how you doing?
I'm still doing.
You look good.
You need glasses.
No, I don't, but I actually do.
Mark, you talked about up-tempo and 3 or 4 key players. Are you looking for a Mark Madsen? You need players who are tough defenders and set a mood on the court.
You're being kind, Dave. You're being really kind to me. So thank you for the kind words. I'll say this. In studying the analytics, one of the areas that stands out, and you guys know it, is the offense. So we need immediate help offensively, and that is a priority in all the phone calling that we've done in the portal. That being said, there are certain key guys in the program right now that have great offensive skill. And you put it all together. Defense is absolutely going to be a key. Defense and rebounding is a huge part to winning championships. If possible, it's great if you can switch 1 through 5, for example. Can't always do that. So then, can you switch 1 through 4? And can you have a specialty coverage for your 5-man? And so there's so much opportunity out there, both with existing homegrown players in the Cal program and also in the portal. And we're gonna really focus on both. And in 3 or 4 weeks, we will have more to report on.
Last question.
Jim, can you share how Mark first came on your radar and then how it eventually crystallized that he was the right guy for this?
Well, I think he was on our radar, weeks before the season ended. And, as we continued to do our homework, he rose to the top faster and faster. And I think just everything you saw today was why he was so interesting to us. And, when we finally got to the Zoom calls, we were absolutely blown away. And then when we got in person and spent 3 or 4 hours with him, we said, this is the next coach at Cal. And so it felt right. we want to win the right way, we want to do it the right way, but we want to, just as someone said, knock someone down and help them back up. We want to be that team you don't want to play, and we want to be competitive. And so he brings every one of those while also being just an incredible human being. So we're excited, and we're excited that we got our man.
All right, thank you all for joining us. We will have Mark available for some